Hey everyone, what's up? Today we're going to be checking out this game called Eternal Return Black Survival. This is a MOBA Battle Royale survival hybrid currently in Steam Early Access that combines various elements from these three separate genres in some pretty interesting ways. There's a large and growing cast of characters, each with their own skills and playstyles, all looks and plays just like a MOBA. On top of that, you have to scavenge around in search of materials, opening up crates and containers, hunting animals in order to craft equipment or food like you do in a lot of survival games, and all of this you do while competing in lobbies of 18 to be the last one standing, with areas of the map restricting over time, forcing players closer together just like in Battle Royale games. Once again, this is currently available in Steam Early Access. It is completely free to play, and apparently the only microtransactions are actually in-game skins. I've played a few hours of Eternal Return recently as part of a sponsorship for this video. They wanted me to jump in, check out the game, and show it off to you guys, which is what I'll be doing here today. Now, I'm still pretty new to the game, but I have a fair understanding of at least the basics. I do have to say, though, it's pretty obvious just from what I've seen that there's quite a lot of depth and things to learn between all of the different characters, the item builds, the crafting system, and then various map mechanics. But hopefully I know enough and can give you guys just a good look at a basic introduction of the game. And as always with the sponsored stuff, if you guys do like what you see, there's a link in the description below. Go ahead and click on that for me. That'd be great. And with that, let's go ahead and jump in and check out Eternal Return. So I've been really enjoying doing this recently and just taking you guys through full matches. I think it's a good way to show some gameplay and then also just share my thoughts about the game or just give some impressions or yeah. So here we go. We're checking out a full match. So again, this game combines MOBA, survival, and battle royale. Obviously, you can just tell immediately from the perspective where the MOBA inspiration comes from. It's also present in the characters. There's a pretty large list of characters. The one that I'm playing right now is a ranger. I've got the option to choose from basically two different play styles. There's the bow and the crossbow variation, and they slightly alter like damage and attack speed, but then also the D ability on my hotbar down there will change depending on which of the weapons I'm using. And there are some characters out there that actually will have access to quite a wide range of weapons that will mix things up. But yeah, I'm playing a crossbow range character. We'll take a look at all the different abilities as we play through. The first ability I picked was a movement skill, which you'll get to see, which was my E. And then the next thing I'm going to be picking up is my Q. So if you're wondering what's happening here, basically the start of the match, from the matches that I've played up until this point, the matches always begin with a huge focus on the crafting process. So you'll notice in the upper right hand corner there's a crafting tree. This is basically like a pre-set up build that I've selected of these different item types that I want to go for. You'll see actually that there was just a person that spawned in next to me, but not a lot of early game combat. At least in the several hours that I played, people kind of in a lot of my matches sort of ignored each other, and I was hearing from people that this isn't all that uncommon because everyone's basically just focused on gathering. So I'm going around interacting with these various objects to get the resources I need to make the stuff in the list that I have on the upper right. The first primary thing is I'm going for all the items for my weapon that I want to make, and then I can work on those other pieces of gear, and all of this will, you know, better stats, better capabilities. Now in the process, I'm also hunting these animals. Now in particular, there's a few reasons to do this. One, they drop things that you could use. In fact, I'm pretty sure I should be looting these guys because I think I need the leather off of them, but I didn't in this game apparently. But they'll drop things that you can use and that will be part of crafting recipes. But then also my particular character gets this passive buff with the more creatures I kill in the environment. So as I'm doing stuff, as I'm going around, I'm interacting with all these crates and trying to get the stuff for my weapon and my other pieces of gear. I will also take out any of these creatures that I come across because it's going to passively make me stronger and enhance a few of my abilities. So just to quickly run through the abilities that I have, my Q is this long range archer shot. My W places these mines down. My my E tethers me to the ground, that increases my attack speed, but also I can hit again to teleport to that location. And then my quote unquote ultimate, my R, enhances my basic attacks with these wolves that help me. So again, the early game is a pretty straightforward process. Literally all I'm doing is walking around, taking out some NPCs to get my passive buff, and then looting stuff to craft my items. As I level up, like I do here, I pick a new skill to level up, and you can just like looking at this, like it's not just the perspective, it's with the skill shots, it's with the interface and the way that the skills are presented, the buttons that they're bound to, the Q, W, E, R, and D. This is all just like straight off of probably like a lot of MOBAs that you guys have seen or played before. So here's a big NPC. There'll be different kinds, different levels, different difficulties, and this one is especially tough. I think I actually almost died to this guy. It's just such like a bad introduction, but yeah, that would have been very embarrassing if I had actually died there. But this has been my experience with this game. What you're seeing here, just like walking around from zone to zone. The map is one map. The game has one map, and it's got all these set regions. And in each of the regions, there will be different types of resources. So depending on the items that you're going for, the build that you're going for, you'll be moving from different region to different region. And just a moment ago, you saw that I took a knee and was able to regenerate. There's just this rest mechanic that you can do at any point that helps you replenish your health and your mana, basically. Now, there's also items you'll see on my consumables in the bottom right-hand corner. I've got some plus health and some plus like lightning bolt, which is my energy or mana or whatever they're calling it here. So you can use items, you can use food consumables to replenish, but you can also use that rest mechanic whenever you want. As far as I can tell, the only restriction is you can't use it if you're flagged for being in combat, but you can see I'm using it here again just to replenish rather than popping any of my stuff. And you know, there's obviously going to be a meta. There's a specific playstyle. I love that we just ignored each other. But this has just been my early experience. Players just like, hey, what's up? Not gonna bother fighting you. Now, one thing I did do incorrectly, if you see on the map that 1, 2, 3, 4, that is I learned this later on, but I just didn't do it in this particular match. That is a guided route for your build. So when you start the game, you select, there's like a build, there's a list of popular builds, like all the best suggested builds for each one of the characters. And they also give you a route. Now, like I mentioned, this map has different zones, and each one of those zones will have different types of materials in it. And so depending on your game knowledge, you will go to different zones to get those different materials. But when you have these pre-established builds, it also literally shows you hey, we suggest you go from this zone to that zone to that zone to that zone. And if you do it in this order, most of the time they prioritize building your weapon first and then picking up the required materials from each zone for the rest of the things in your particular build that you've selected. Now, obviously on top of this, like, you can assume if you're playing a lot, you know a ton about the game, you will innately eventually know every item that comes from every zone, and you can play more dynamically on the fly. I imagine that would take some time though. I played for several hours and I know a couple of things. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know, like I can get rocks in these and rocks and twigs in these locations. I get duct tape here. I get the knives and scissors over here. That's the hospital. There's like a scalpel or something and some scissors. You get it in the hospital. But boy, oh boy, to get that real solid information, it'll certainly take some time. There's no question about that. The other really nice thing I really enjoyed playing this character is that as you level up the weapon, obviously you would assume you get better at taking out these NPC creatures, and it just makes I'm like steamrolling my passive buff. Not to pretend that I'm doing any of this really efficiently, because I know my understanding of this game in these early stages is still very, very limited. And so you might be wondering here, we're a few minutes in to this match, and you haven't seen any fighting. And like I said, and like you've seen a few times as I've come across these different players, that has just been pretty typical for me. Now, as I continue to play, I did notice in some matches there were absolutely some aggressive players who were clearly going after enemies pretty consistently. And I think there's a few reasons for this. Obviously, just for the fun of it, because you like PvP. This game, one of the elements, one of the three genres that this thing's blending together is Battle Royale, which is competitive, which is PvP. So if you like that, you probably want to get in fights, but also there's this whole mastery system where essentially the more you do something in a match, the better you get at it. It's almost like, I don't know, it's almost like an Elder Scrolls style, like the more you jump and the more you attack, the better you get at jumping and attacking. They've got a similar system in here. So the more fighting that you get in and the more combat you get in with other players, from what I understand, it can basically steamroll your mastery, making you better at engaging in that combat, which will make you stronger in successive fights. So it seems like there would be a reason for good, knowledgeable players who can also progress their build to also be engaging in fights consistently. Since I'm still a new player, though, I was really just focused on getting the items for my build. And there's all sorts of different builds that can tailor all sorts of different play styles. Apparently the build that I was going for is to help cooldown reduction, but then also it's supposed to be really good because you can just farm, you can farm these animals with this build and still get all the items for it. So it lets you focus on farming the animals, which isn't exactly what I did here at all, but all of this knowledge, all of these things just sort of come with time. You can see actually, here's a list of the different types of builds that you could go for. These are like the pre-selected builds that you might want to use depending on the different ways you want to play and all that stuff. I don't think my play style in this match perfectly synced up with the build that I picked, but that's okay. All of this stuff comes with knowledge, comes with time, comes with playing more. And the good thing is if you're waiting on seeing some PvP action, that will continue to come as we progress through the match. The mid and late game is where you really start to see a lot of that. Now there's also these day cycles. You might have been noticing that it's been cycling between night and day. We're about 10 seconds away from moving into the next period. Along with these cycles also comes the closing of different zones. So unlike battle royales where it's like a circle, there's a huge parameter, the map starts fully open up and then it slowly comes to a point, this one will lock off different zones. So the zone I was just in is yellow, which means with the passing of this next day, that is going to turn to red. That is going to shrink in and be unexplorable. If you get stuck in there when it goes from yellow to red, like when it shifts days, you just instantly die. I learned that the hard way in one of the matches that I was in. And this is pretty exciting. Here we're gonna get some PvP. So here's this person. I start up with my big shot. I drop down my squirrel trap, which is gonna snare them. I've got my knockback. That is my crossbow specific ability for D. Couple auto attacks, and I finish him off. Also with that, you can see I popped my R. That's what enhances my basic attacks, and I get some wolves coming in to help me. I really liked this character just because it's like the naturey. I like the wolves. And my W, that trap that I put on the ground, it's called the squirrel trap. I was sad that there aren't actual squirrels. And here's another fight right away, just pretty much right away. Open up with that big thing, drop down my squirrel trap to slow him up, and then I put down my E, which increases my attack speed, but then also, watch this, I can whoop, pop back to the E, and then look, I get a damaged character. There's another person coming up, do the knockback, barely get away with my life. Apparently there's, I have either, I don't know what it is, but I got some health back when I killed that character. I don't know if that was innate, like every time you kill a character you get health, or maybe it's one of my pieces of armor. Again, that's just me not knowing everything about the game. I can't believe this. Ready? I was injured, person snuck up on me, and somehow I still managed. I got my increased attack speed with my little tether there. Somehow I managed to win the fight. I could not believe that. I might be playing against potatoes. I promise you as well, this isn't a bot match. This is a real game. The first couple of matches that you play are bot matches, but this is real game. These are real people. I swear to you. I was fighting real people and I won and I couldn't believe it. It just makes me really happy. So just gonna do a little rest here. I finally start using my consumables instead of the full-on resting. And at this point I was like, what am I doing with this build? Because I noticed at this point in the match that the build that I'd gone for has just a bunch of greens and common items. But again, apparently it's a cooldown reduction, and when you're knowledgeable, you should be upgrading these into better pieces. But since I'm just like major pleb and don't know what I'm doing, just stuck with these items. You know what? Hey, it ended up working out well enough. It could have been worse. I also, you saw I opened up the crafting menu there, and now in the upper right hand corner I have tracked a bunch of basically food recipes, because I thought that would probably be a good idea for the upcoming fight, because I can pop these food items for energy, mana, and health. I can pop those items in the middle of a fight to get some regeneration while combat is going on. But here we are, coming up on the end of the match here. 4 players left. I made it. I made it into the top 4. Can you believe it? Pretty exciting. I'm going to do some more farming of these characters to continue to bump up my passives as we're rolling up the stages of the map. And if you take a look at the mini map again in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see here that things are continuously, progressively closing. There's more fully red areas, which are just instant death zones, and yellow areas about to switch over to red, and that's actually going to happen again on the cycling of the days. So in a minute from now, that yellow area should turn to red, more areas will go to yellow, bringing us up to the final stages, where eventually is only one section of the map that is going to be explorable. Also, you'll have noticed that you can go up, and I've been interacting with these corpses of the players that we took out, and that's because you can loot them. You can loot their items. Now, again, this is one of those issues where I've struggled with game knowledge because I don't really know what I'm doing. I didn't know what items to take. I did just pop that camera system, which basically shows you players in the vicinity, which is going to bring us up to our next fight. Gauging here. I don't know. I can't believe that missed. You don't understand how upset I was. I do pop my wolves, but she ends up running away. She didn't want to fight. So I said, you know what, fine. I'm going to go back here and check out some of these loot. So yeah, I mean, this was not, I didn't pick this game to show you guys because this was the perfect game, because I'm the most knowledgeable. Some of my other games that I've played were, I think I just played better because I learned more over time. Like, I ended up picking up this item so I can upgrade this, but ideally I should have everything upgraded, not just like 2 items. Oh, we got another player here. I don't even remember that. Oh, I don't remember this. Okay, what? I don't remember this fight. I thought that was the last fight until the very end. I blinked through there with my W. We got 2 people here. I'm gonna recharge my big thing. I shoot it through. I think I hit somebody here and it's coming. Nope, I missed. That person takes out that one. Now there are 3 people left. Who is it? What are you doing? Oh, she's got this thing. I literally don't remember. I thought that was the last fight. I thought my last fight was the last one until the very end. I do not remember this being the case. We get in a little skirmish there. Nothing happens from it though. I replenish my stuff. Oh, this is probably why I don't remember, because I'm pretty sure, see, we're in the final. This zone is about to flip over in 1 minute. So I'm like, oh shoot, I better get out of here. And now it's the final. It's a 1v1 situation. 1 minute from now, this yellow zone flips to red. So what do? We look for the teleportation thing. You see on the minimap in the bottom right, there are those 2 little like sideways chevrons. It's like a fast forward arrow. Some of the zones have these in them. From what I could tell, you can teleport to any zone, but not every zone will have one of these teleporting pads. So I use this phone booth. I go to the final zone. We've got a 1v1 situation. It's the end of the game. I made it so far. I can't believe it. Kill a couple chickens and watch this. I just get completely obliterated. Like, I don't even know what happened. This guy absolutely destroyed me, but it's okay. I made it further than I expected to. I had a good time. I'll take 2nd place. Not too bad. And there you have it. That is a look at Eternal Return. Now again, I only have a few hours of experience. I am still pretty new to the game, and like I mentioned at the very beginning, there's quite clearly a lot to learn with all of the different characters, not only knowing how to play yours, but how to counter and fight against all the others, the gathering and the crafting system, which all plays into these different kinds of item builds, and then just all of the map knowledge, like literally knowing where to go, where to get different things on the map, the different types of map mechanics like the teleportation system, the map reveal, their item drops. There's just all sorts of things. There's a lot to learn. I don't know everything, but even with the knowledge that I do have and the little experience that I do have, I had a good time checking out this like MOBA Battle Royale survival hybrid. And again, of course, if you guys were interested and you liked what you saw, go ahead and do me a favor and click on that link in the description below. Either way, as always, thank you all so much for watching. Appreciate you guys' support. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.